you get some peace of mind. They're right on your track, they're right on your back, but boy, they're gonna hang you high.
The bushwhackers are almost an institution. For 25 years now, they've been spreading the word about Australian folk music and promoting a culture in danger of being obliterated. But by singing nationalistic anthems and raising the Eureka flag, they maintain the rage against American influences in their own techno-bush sort of way.
Clap your right hand 3 times.
12 years ago, the band called it a day, fearing future classification as a museum piece. But after almost a decade, they reformed, not only to keep the music alive, but to make it relevant.
Back the other way. Right.
It's interesting because lots of the people who come to the gigs now, we played at their primary school. And that's great. I mean, most bands don't get to stay around that long. Some of them were brought along when they were kiddies by their mums and dads. And so we've actually got this sort of raft of young fans who we knew nothing about and didn't really ever think about that happening. And then we've got the fans who've grown up with us.
I think it's important that the Bushwhackers sings in Australian accents. I think it's important when we play a country music festival where there's a lot of, you know, Americana. I think it's very important that the Bushwhackers is out there saying, we're Australians, we're singing like Australians, we're looking Australian.
What we've got here is really good and really important. It's a fantastic spirit and I'd hate to see it die, and I'm going to play in this band for as long as it takes.
This flag of blue and silver stars says we're prepared to die for our rights to freedom beneath the southern sky. The blood of those poor working men who didn't count the cost flows strong and red forever beneath the Southern Cross.
The Bushwhackers has always flown the Eureka flag. I guess we've had a bit of a history with the Eureka Rebellion.
I mean, this flag now has been adopted by, you know, the lunatic, racist, right-wing National Front mob. I can't imagine why, because the people who raised this flag came from about 28 different countries. And in fact, the flag was designed by a Canadian.
Up jumped the cabin and he grabbed him with glee, and his ghost may be heard. He's singing by the billabong. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda, you'll come a waltzing Matilda with me.
I was a bushwhacker by accident. I guess I hadn't even figured the Bushwhackers had always been a boys' lineup, and I didn't probably think it was even a possibility that I could be in the lineup, but I got picked and here I am.
Wow, this is for me, because I'd been playing in sort of pretty average R&B and blues bands in the garage as a high school lad, and I was a really dreadful drummer. And I thought, the lagerphone looks like my sort of instrument. You just whack it about and nobody can tell whether you're playing it well or not. So I did all that, and that was it. Here we are.
I've been a fan of the Bushwhackers, I've got to say, since it actually started, since way before Dobe joined. I've been going to see the band, even though I've managed to play in it for 16 years. I kind of made up my mind that first night I saw them that I was going to be in the band, and I just kind of hung around until they let me in.
I'm always impressed with their musical dexterity. I think that they've encouraged players, good players, who have experimented with what I consider to be the Australian tradition. And, you know, tradition is not something that sits on a library shelf. Tradition is a living tradition, and whatever they do, they're part of it. And just as an old shearer at a bar who's singing an unaccompanied bush song is also part of that tradition.
South Australia, heave away, you ruler kings, heave away, all away, heave away, you hear me sing, down to South Australia. And now I'm on the foreign strand, heave away, all away, with a bottle of whiskey in each hand, down to South Australia.
My 9-year-old son coming up to me and saying, you know, Dad, when you retire, I'm going to keep the Bushwhackers going. And I thought, God. Well, fear, of course, because he's supposed to keep me in my old age. And I know how how much income's generated by this business. I thought, no, please, the accountancy. But that gave me an amazing buzz that I didn't expect to get, because, I mean, it really is now an institution.
They may not be on high rotation on the commercial radio stations, but their dedicated live following and their continuing influence on contemporary Australian music spurs them on to new heights of bushwhackery.